It's now time for Energy Insights, where you get an inside view and local perspective of all the oil and gas progress going on in the Mid-Ohio Valley. This program is brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association and can be heard every Saturday at 9 a.m. on WMOA AM 1490, FM 101.3, JAWS Country FM 100.9, and ESPN Radio AM 630 and FM 92.9. Here's Johnny Wharf, your local host.
Another Saturday morning in America. This is Energy Insights brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association. Johnny Wharf along with Amanda Nothsine. And if you're a school teacher, do your kids call you Mrs. Nothsine?
No, my kids call me Miss No. Nothsine is a large mouthful, so I just call... It's easier just to say Miss No. So all my teachers and all my administration and all the students call me Miss No.
Isn't that tough for the word that we're supposed to not really learn so much when we're younger?
They always laugh at that. They are like, oh, are you the one that just says Miss No all the time? And they're like, why is your name Miss No when you actually say yes all the time to everything? So it's just, I don't know. I think it's easier.
Well, for the record, I'm going to call you Amanda, if that's all right.
That's fine.
Amanda, talk a little bit about what school district you're from, and I would let our listeners know that you're part of the WJAW field trip that came to Marietta to learn a little bit more about the industry, but maybe you can give us a little background on you.
I am working with Springboro City Schools. That is Warren County, so it's kind of in between Cincinnati and Dayton, like in the middle area. I live in Fairborn, so I'm a little bit of a drive, but it's a great place to work and
hang out, right?
Hang out, yeah. Springboro.
So tell me about, like, on this field trip, either something that you were enlightened by, maybe that you didn't know coming in.
The brine situation, like, I guess I know that there was salt water and water in the oil, and then I guess when they do the fracking and all that stuff and the water comes up, I guess I just didn't realize it was salt water. Obviously, going through to my education and looking at all the layers of the rocks and the earth and stuff, the salt water is what is trapped underneath there just as long as the oil. So bringing all that up and then what we have to do with the brine, I'm kind of in shock that we have to dispose of it in a certain way. Why can't we just dump it? It's just salt water. Like, yes, there's a little bit of oil. Yes, there's a little bit of other stuff, but it's just salt water. I don't know why you would have to do all of the things that we just learned about them pumping it all the way in and then pumping it back into the ground when they had to pump it out of the ground, and now they're turning around and spending all this time and energy to pump it back into the ground. I think that was kind of my big, eye-opener, I didn't realize that all of that took place just to drill oil.
Would this be, is this a volunteer thing, or is this a CE credit thing as far as going out with other teachers in the summer of a year and taking a trip?
It's both. It's voluntary. OG pays for all of our teachers to come to these. It's free for us. So we get to come and do meet all these people in the industry and get all of this background on different jobs and careers and things that you can do within the industry, as well as lesson plans that we can take back to our students to really help with our own standards. But you can use it for credit hours from Ashland, or you can just come for the fun of it. I'm just here for the fun of it. I'm a stickler for going back and getting more education just because I think it's fun. I love to learn things new, and I love to be able to bring something fresh back to my students and bring hands-on activities. And that's what WJAW is all about, is bringing all those hands-on activities and that real-life application of, this is what's going on in the industry today, and here's how we can do it in the classroom, and then here's also what you can do outside of it. So I like
would
that.
You would you be able to apply this to lessons and or to Springboro in terms of, if kids would ask questions?
So I teach 7th and 8th grade science, and our standards for 7th grade is all of the energy renewal, and then 8th grade is all about layers of the earth and fossils and, that kind of stuff like that. And all of the geology that's in the 8th grade science standards applies to everything that you talk about here with the oil and gas industry. And all of the, we also do a big career fields within science. We do an end of unit thing. We talk about all the different careers. So the students all research careers that are in the industry of science. And it's not just getting the students to realize that science isn't just being a physicist or a chemist or a biologist. You can be a human relations manager and be working in the science field. You can be a mudslinger, or you can be, someone who goes around and tests the wells, and a driller. And there's more than just chemistry, biology, physics, and that's kind of what they only see.
Yeah, and a lot more to come. I think that we're all going to learn from it, and thank goodness for people like you that want to and aspire to learn more about it. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, it is Nothsine, right?
Correct.
All
yep.
right, Amanda Nothsine, a teacher at Springboro and Warren County. Pleased to be joined by another teacher as part of the field trip that WJAW put on here in Marietta, and Peggy Hamman on location. We're at Deep Rock Disposal Solutions, and Peggy, maybe for the listeners, talk a little bit about some of the things that you learned when you ventured about is this your first time at Marietta?
It is my first time at Marietta. I am from the Ross County, Pickaway County line, and I teach at Union local schools. I am a third grade teacher. Very interested. Third grade, we learn a lot about renewable and non-renewable resources. So I like to delve a little deeper in areas. And this year, about a month ago, I went to a workshop for WJAW, and learned a lot of hands-on activities for the kids. And so I came on this field trip so that I could learn a little more about what I was going to be teaching them. And I just enjoyed the day, learned so much.
So was it set up so that you went to, I think, obviously we're at Deep Rock right now, but Reno Oil and Gas, and wherever else you went, you can maybe share that, but was there somebody there to give you a tour, or how'd that work?
We went to Reno Oil and Gas first, and Brian and his wife, Christy, yes, were gracious hosts, and they took us and showed us around. And I guess before I got there, I'm thinking there's going to be this big derrick or something,
right.
like Beverly Hillbillies or something. And just so interesting, just everything we learned about, the drilling and the many...
the different applications.
The different applications. So then we went to the Miller Supply, where they had the steel piping and things. And then finally here at Deep Rock about the brine.
Yeah. So tell me how this relates if we go to Pickaway County, and tell me where the oil and gas industry is there as it relates to what we're doing here.
Well, there's not really any drilling in those counties, but I guess my husband's a farmer, and we have a lot of oil and gas being used on the farm, and in every aspect people are using it. So I think we need to be educated about the true aspect of the oil and gas industry. I know right now we are kind of being inundated as farmers in that area for solar. So we're not real sure about all that, and we kind of like that oil and gas and just trying to see where that's all coming from.
Well, so all we want to do is educate ourselves and make the right decisions down the road. Talk about the curriculum. What grade did you teach again? Third grade. So does the curriculum follow, we talked to Amanda before, and there's in Ohio year, I think that year, she learned about the history of Ohio, and certainly what it would change as it relates to oil and gas would be part of that.
Well, third grade, like I said, is more about renewable and non-renewable and just finding the difference. So I'm going to also be going on another field trip about fossils, so just finding out about those fossils and then digging into that shale and the oil. So I just wanted to put it all together for my students. And then in fourth grade, they will be going to the Ohio part of the curriculum.
Okay, and then tell our listeners how your students remember what your last name is.
I'm Miss Hamman. My husband is a pig farmer, and he is a ham man.
All right, Hamman, right?
Yes.
Just like that. And she's our guest, Peggy Hamman, third grade teacher from the Chillicothe area, Pickaway County, and we thank you for being a part of the program. Thank you very much. Along with Wendy Baker, and I was going to ask you off air what you're doing here as we're on location at Deep Rock Disposal Solutions here in Marietta. And so instead of off air, I just thought I'd ask you on air so the listeners can find out a little bit about you and then how you ended up here today.
Okay, my name is Wendy Baker, and I'm a fourth grade elementary teacher from Paulding County, and I'm here for WJAW, which is Ohio Oil, Energy, Gas. For teachers, they give us teacher workshops. So we're here touring to learn about natural gas, oil industry, how it works, and also to apply it to our students in the classroom.
Okay, UJEEP, the Education Association, and Paulding County. You're going to even have to help me with that a little bit.
Yeah, most people don't. It's
okay.
Northwest Ohio, so 2 counties south of Michigan and right next to the Indiana border.
Okay, and then just talk about generally, we can call this a field trip, right? Field trip for teachers?
Right.
All right, so tell me where you've been, what you've done.
Okay, so today we went to look at the oil of, you're going to get me in trouble.
No, the area of Marietta.
Yeah, the area of Marietta to look at Reno Oil and Gas.
Oh, okay.
Then we went to Kinmiller Supply, which was fantastic there. The suppliers, kind of the Napa parts of the oil field. And then now we're at Deep Rock Disposal, which takes care of the salt brine and everything that comes up with the oil.
Wendy Baker is did you say 4th grade?
4th grade.
4th grade teacher in Paulding County. So talk a little bit about the industry of oil and gas in that area. Some of the things that you hope maybe some of the younger folks, or maybe you learned that they know about this critical industry to our area.
Well, I think energy is a really important standard that the state puts on every single grade level, because this is our future. Also something that can be controversial, but also is definitely an ongoing discussion. I mean, the kids are going to be the part of our field later than too, so they need to understand how it works. For my standards, they kind of need to understand where energy comes from, but 4th grade is a big Ohio year, so that's part of our learning then too, is how Ohio fits into the energy field. So I think this is really a great way to show them why Ohio, our state, is so important to the entire country and the world for what we supply. So
I'm guessing, having not been in 4th grade for a long time,
right. It's changed.
you have the battle of trying to put the disclaimer on that everything they read isn't true, right?
Sort of. Yeah, and I would think that's something that as teachers we should all do to our kids is check your information. And that's something that's really important, because there's a lot of adults who don't do that. So these days you need to make sure you come in from multiple resources to teach the kids. So especially these field trips or these things that UJEEP offers is really important, so we can meet the real people in the industry, and it's not just textbook learning, it's not just what we're told to tell the kids, but it's like this is really what happens out there on the field. So we met a lot of great people today.
We had an opportunity, Brian Chavez and I, to get on Capitol Hill and meet with Andrew Wheeler and talk about all the regulations and stipulations. And here's a guy that grew up swimming in Lake Erie and still does, I might add. And for a guy that's closer to it than anybody and is in charge of putting the regulations on, I'm sure that in your area there's some of that. This is good, this isn't good. This is right, this is wrong.
Right, there's a lot. So I've gone to a lot of the teacher training things in the field trips from up there then too, because that's been a hot topic since more than 10 years now. What's happened to Lake Erie and who's to blame. So that's another thing I think that we need to teach the kids, is that it's not just one person, it's not one entity. There's not one thing to blame, but we all need to take responsibility for it. So for the Lake Erie part of things, the farmers, the agricultural part of Northwest Ohio is just really been raked over the coals over the Lake Erie issue. And you know what? Our farmers up there have done a fantastic job of following what they've been asked to do. And they really apply everything. Now we're on to the foreign nutrients, and they are doing edge of field runoff testing and everything. Our local farmers are doing a fantastic job, and I partner my kids with that. We do macroinvertebrate testing, we do water quality testing on our streams up there, and our agricultural part is doing great. So there just needs to be a lot more looking at maybe big corporation manufacturing, which of course they don't fall under always the same stipulations and guidelines, which isn't... You got to look at the big picture. And I think for even our general public, you need to understand that what you're hearing on the radio, not on the radio.
never on the radio. Never on the radio,
no. But just what is publicly being told to you is maybe not the whole story on everything. Yeah. So a lot of what he said today is very close to what our farmers up there say too, is why would we pollute the ground and the water that we live in? But not just that, we make our living off of this. Right. So we respect that, because I need this farm to be here for generations, because this is for my kids and my grandkids and everybody on out. So of course they're going to apply what's been told and make things better, and they have. So I feel it's a lot like what's happening here with the oil industry then too.
I can tell you're a teacher. You've taught me and you've taught our listeners, and that's what we try to do every Saturday morning here is teach the folks in this area about the industry of the oil and gas. Thank you very much. Wendy Baker is school teacher, Paulding County, 4th grade school teacher, and this is Energy Insights, brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association.
Thank you for listening to Energy Insights, brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association. Tune in every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on WMOA Local Radio, JAWS Country, and ESPN Radio, as Johnny Wharf brings you your local and inside perspectives going on in the oil and gas industry right here in the Mid-Ohio Valley.